From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast, Monday, July 1st, 2024. Welcome to the third quarter of this year. And welcome July. This is a short week, obviously. 4th of July holiday on Thursday. We'll still be doing shows as usual throughout the entire week, even on the 4th of July morning. So tune in to all of that. It's going to be a great week. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Nudge Security. You'll hear more from them later on in the show. So don't go nowhere. Go check them out. The feedback has been immense, and we're really proud to be able to help so many practitioners get a grasp over their SaaS security. So without further ado, we've got a packed show for all of y'all today. It's been a busy weekend for so many cybersecurity practitioners. In fact, from last night when I was kind of doing my initial prep for Monday morning show to this morning, stuff actually changed, and I had to kind of redo the format of the show a little bit. So you'll give me a little bit of patience here as we get through it. So for all of you tuning in, please make sure to subscribe, follow, share, comment. Let us know what kind of coffee are you drinking this morning. I've got my Segafredo double espresso. I love Segafredo coffee. It's Italian. When you drink espresso, I try to stick to the Italian mix. Typically, that they tend to have the best espressos. Even though their Euro championship team just got knocked out by the Swiss. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Italians know a lot of things. Apparently, soccer's not one of them. All right, if you're an SSH server person, you may want to pay attention to this most recent flaw that's being disclosed, and this is a significant vulnerability that could lead to unauthenticated remote code execution. CVE 2024-6387. It's named regreSSHion. Regression SSH, get it? Was discovered by threat researchers unit over at the firm Qualys. It's been described as critical and as serious as Log4 Shell of 2021. The company researchers found that the OpenSSH server process SSHD is affected by a signal handler race condition that allows unauthenticated remote code execution with root privilege on the glibc-based Linux systems. It's unclear if it's also an exploit for Windows and macOS. Currently, the school of thought is that it's Linux. I was actually checking a Reddit post about this, and someone said, "Hey, I tried it. I'm trying it on my Mac OS. It's still not working." And some have had some success on Windows, others not so much. This vulnerability, though, the reason it's being kind of compared to Log4j is because it could allow for a complete system takeover, enables the installation of malware and creation of backdoors. OpenSSH is designed to provide a secure channel over an unsecured network and a client-server architecture. It's widely used by enterprises for remote server management and secure data communication. According to Qualys, searches conducted using the Shodan and Census service show more than 14 million potentially vulnerable OpenSSH instances that are directly accessible from the internet. Qualys' own customer data shows roughly 700,000 internet-exposed systems that appear to be vulnerable. So the flaw, this flaw has been around for a little bit. It was the security firm says that CVE 2024-6387 is a regression of CVE 2006-5051, so 18 years there between the two. The flaw was reintroduced back in October of 2020 with the release of OpenSSH 8.5p1. So there's technical details, and you can find all that in the show notes. The TeamViewer hack has been confirmed to be done by a notorious Russian cyber espionage group targeting the company's systems. The remote connectivity software revealed last week that it detected an intrusion on June 26th, according to a follow-up statement issued by the company on Friday. And over the weekend, the breach only impacted its internal corporate IT environment, didn't affect its product environment or the TeamViewer connectivity platform or any sort of customer data. So they tell you, the HR, the PR stuff. All right, we're taking this. The hackers leverage an employee account to copy employee directory data such as names, corporate contact information, encrypted employee passwords for internal corporate environments. The risk associated with the encrypted password contained in the directory has been mitigated in collaboration with leading experts from their incident response partner, Microsoft. So when the hack came to light, NCC Group reported that an APT behind the attack and the US HISAC issued an alert saying Russian-linked APT-29 was behind. I mean, right away. I mean, attribution so fast. Really? That's something. Well, they're all kind of blaming it on APT-29. So Nublium is what they're known for. I mean, look how many monikers there's a name for this group. Look how many right there on your screen. Right there. I'm highlighting it for all to see. Stop it. For the love of Christ, stop it. Thank you. Hopefully that'll get taken. That advice will be heeded. All right. So we've got shockwaves from the Russian government hack of Microsoft's corporate infrastructure continuing to spread with news that the software giant is notifying more customers that their emails were also stolen by the Midnight Blizzard attackers. According to published reports, Redmond's IR team is now providing a secure portal for customers to view specifics of emails stolen by the Midnight Blizzard threat actors. The notification sent by the company says you're receiving this notification because emails were exchanged between Microsoft and accounts in your organization. Those emails were accessed by the threat actor Midnight Blizzard as part of their cyber attack on Microsoft. And then they go on to say, it's part of our commitment to transparency. You know, Microsoft's had a lot of issues. I wrote the Microsoft doctrine back when SolarWinds happened because I truly believe that they were trying to be transparent. They were. I kind of took that back here with the more recent cyber activity. I felt like you've written the playbook that really didn't impact your stock price, that really built confidence with customers and partners, and they just kind of threw that down the drain. Microsoft described this incident as an ongoing attack. It is an ongoing attack. APT-29 again, Cozy Bear for all of y'all. 2 stories in a row. These guys are just wrecking havoc. APT-29, right? Like 2 back-to-back, TeamViewer. Microsoft, it's like they know the corporate infrastructure and they keep trying to disrupt it. If we move on to vulnerabilities, Juniper last week issued an out-of-cycle security bulletin to warn of critical vulnerability leading to authentication bypass on session smart routers and conductor products. CVE 2024-2973 has a perfect score of 10 on the CVSS scale. The issue impacts all session smart routers and conductors running in high availability redundant configuration. They explain the authentication bypass using an alternate path or channel vulnerability in Juniper's network session smart router or conductor running with a redundant peer allows a network-based attacker to bypass authentication, take full control of the device. According to the company, session smart router and connector versions before 5.6.15, 6.1.9 or ITS, and 6.2.5 STS are affected when assurance versions before 6.1.9 or ITS and 6.2.5 are still vulnerable as well. The subsequent releases SSR 5.6.15, SSR 6.1.9 or ITS, SSR 6.2.5 STS, and subsequent are all the new versions you need to be on. The popular open source project IP recently had its GitHub repository archived or made read-only by its developer, Fedor Induteni, due to a CVE report filed against the project, started getting hounded by people on the internet, bringing the vulnerability to his attention. Unfortunately, Induteni's case isn't isolated. In recent times, open source developers have been met with an uptick in receiving debatable or even in some cases outright bogus CVE reports filed for their projects without confirmation. Here's the problem with that. So the reason I'm bringing this story is not because of the evil done here or this project is sidestepped, but it really is significant in the fact that one of the ways for you to essentially overwhelm and destroy a project and then rename it with a backdoor is to do just that, right? So if you're a long-term threat actor, China, Russia, as such, and you're really trying to build software backdoors. So the best way to go about it, right? The best way to go about it is discredit existing ones, replace them with the ones you want that are similar, but maybe without the CVE that you gave it, which does not exist. And if you're in DevSecOps, this has got to be something that you have to start looking at how do you game plan for. And there's a few ways to do that. One, a lot of these open source, open projects, these guys need some help. It's kind of like a side hustle for them. That they've done this for the betterment of developers and whatnot, but they could need some help kind of cracking this stuff down. So if you've got the resources, give them the help, right? Because at the end of the day, they support your business, whether you like to or not. So there's that. And this has dubious impact because it's a waste of time for us as well. If you think about it, you see a CVE being reported, whether someone whether it's true or not, you're investing resources in addressing it, and you're looking at other solutions to potentially replace that repo. And in this case, you could be going to from a secure repo to a non-secure repo due to a bogus claim. And so this really does require an understanding of the CVE. It requires an understanding of how you're using it, and it requires communication with the developer himself who owns the repo to better understand it. And this is becoming a real nuisance for a lot of people, and something that's really worthwhile addressing there as well. Enterprise spending on OT cyber will grow by almost 70% from 2023 to 21.6 billion globally by 2028, according to a report by ABI Research. The sector generated just around 12 billion in spending in 2023. Attacks and regulation are driving spending, according to Michael Amiri over at ABI Research. More than half of the OT spending will flow to network security and segmentation. Segmentation being critical in OT, I can tell you that firsthand. And while it's expected to grow by about 9% annually to reach that number, according to the research, the projected increase follows a wave of escalating attacks targeting industrial sites like drinking water, energy, agriculture, manufacturing, and other sectors. Manufacturing has just been hammered over the last 2 years. Hammered. Attackers have multiple incentives to target OT. One, once you disrupt production, the likelihood of them paying is much, much greater. Rather than recovering lost data, you want to get your production lines back up and running. That has a direct revenue escalation. And so they tend to be better payers. And so they continue to be a target. Nearly 4,000 people were arrested in a global police crackdown on an online scam network. International law enforcement on Thursday said it dismantled an online scam network in several countries, arresting over 3,900 suspects, seizing $257 million in illegally obtained assets. The operation, dubbed First Light, was conducted by police officers from 61 countries. It targeted phishing, investment fraud, fake online shopping sites, romance scam, and impersonation scams. In addition to arresting thousands of potential cyber criminals, the police also identified over 14,600 other possible suspects across all continents that are all now moving to Hong Kong, China, and Russia. Venezuela as well, maybe Cuba, maybe Iran, I don't know. During the searches, law enforcement seized suspects' real estate, high-end vehicles, expensive jewelry, and other high-value items and collections. They also froze 6,745 bank accounts used for transferring money obtained through illegal operation. In one case, they intercepted 331,000 gleaned from a business email compromise fraud involving a Spanish victim who unknowingly transferred money to someone in Hong Kong. In another case, authorities in Australia successfully recovered 3.7 million on behalf of an impersonation scam victim after the funds were fraudulently transferred to bank accounts in Malaysia and Hong Kong. The criminal network identified during the operation was spread around the globe. In Namibia, for example, the police rescued 88 local youth who were forced into conducting scams as part of a sophisticated international crime network. According to Interpol, law enforcement from Singapore, Hong Kong, and China prevented an attempted tech support scam, saving a 7-year-old victim from losing $281,000 all in all. So there's that. Now to some data breach. But before we do that, just a quick message from our friends over at Nudge Security.
When your CEO asks, hey, are we using that SaaS app that was just breached? How quickly and confidently can you answer? Due to the sprawling nature of SaaS app adoption, it's hard to know who is using what and to understand the implications when a popular SaaS app is breached. To solve this, Nudge Security discovers and categorizes every account for every SaaS app ever created by anyone in your organization. And a full inventory of all SaaS accounts is available within minutes of starting a free trial. Not only will you know who's using what, but you can automate communications out to end users, called nudges of course, that remind them to enable MFA, shut down unused accounts, enroll apps in SSO, etc. And Nudge Security will notify you of breaches impacting your SaaS provider so you can take immediate action to mitigate the impact. Start a 14-day trial now at nudgesecurity.com/cyberhub.
There is a security breach.
All right, security breach time. Let's go ahead and run through these. Infosys Macamish Systems, IMS, disclosed that the Lockbit ransomware attack has suffered earlier this year impact sensitive information of more than 6 million people. In February of this year, IMS informed the public that it had been hit by ransomware in November of last year, which resulted in the compromise of the personal data of around 57,000 Bank of America customers. At the time, Lockbit claimed the attack that it encrypted 2,000 computers on their network. Now we know that number is close to 6 million people, and the data compromised varies from one individual to another, but could include social security numbers, date of birth, medical treatment record information, biometric data, email address and password, username and password, driver's license number, state ID number, financial account information, payment card information, passport number, tribal ID, U.S. military number, and so much more. There's that. Chicago Children's Hospital says 800,000 people were affected by their ransomware on the hospital earlier this year. The Ann and Robert H. Laurie Children's Hospital in New York was attacked in January by the Riceta ransomware group, which allegedly made more than $3 million from selling the data it stole from the hospital. In filing with regulators, the hospital said 791,784 people had their data exposed when attackers had access to their system from January 26th to January 31st. The stolen data includes basic information like names, addresses, date of birth, dates of service, as well as sensitive information like social security number, medical records, prescription information, health claim information, treatments, and procedures received. The latter part, I think, is more important, and I'll tell you why. If you know what these are, you can do two things. You can continue to bill an insurance company to pay you to a different bank account, one way, not very productive. Number two, you can reach out to these people and say, you still owe money to the hospital for the treatment and procedure you received on this day. You need to pay me $300. Now, if they do that to 791,000 people, you can do the math. That's a multi-million-dollar payday. That's why these things matter. Prudential also notified 2.5 million individuals that are affected by their data breach from February of this year. They've now updated their incident notification, disclosing with the SEC that now overall 2,556,210 individuals had their personal information compromised. The notice was filed for Prudential Insurance Company of America, the Prudential financial company that provides the insurance products. The data stolen includes names, addresses, driver's license numbers, non-driver identification card numbers. All in all, a class action lawsuit was filed against Prudential in the Jersey courtroom over the weekend. So there's that. Some great comments here. Jason, what do you got? You got a bongo coffee espresso mix from Nashville. I'm going to have to try that next time I'm in the city. Matt, you've got a venti cold brew with 2 packets of honey, no ice. I like that very much. Thank you for your good words, Christoph. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live here with all the latest and greatest. Until then, make sure to subscribe, share, follow. Go check out nudgesecurity.com/cyberhub for your 14-day free trial. Have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all have a great week. Happy 4th of July. If you're not tuning in and today's your last day, happy 4th of July and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.